I just felt like, wow, there's no way I'm gonna get emotional in the first minute. People act out when all they want is love and attention. Now what? What's the universe trying to tell me? What's next for me? And I figured if I at the top of my game, and I wasn't proud of who I was a year ago.
YesJulz.
That's Julz.
Is a manager.
Founder of 1AM Media.
Controversy has followed her since
I have a
she
marketing and event production agency and a management company. Because when you worry, you're not in the present. When you're sad about something in the past. When you're present, you can't be. You're changing the chemistry of your body in real time with all the things we were doing while trying to get to that place. That was the magic. How the authorities found out that I was like a 6-year-old living by myself in a home with a...
I hope you're enjoying this episode of You Versus You. If these conversations are inspiring you and are bringing value to your life, please make sure to subscribe, join the community, and don't forget to share with anyone who you think needs to hear this. Thank you for supporting the show. Now let's get back to our episode.
I read that you grew up in foster care, and I would love to hear what that experience was like for you.
I do have an amazing aunt and uncle who were actually my birth mother's great aunt and uncle who were there as like a constant home for me to go to when my mom wasn't sober. So I was actually far more lucky than most fostered youth are. It's a huge issue in our country. There's over 500,000 kids in foster care right now that need a healthy, safe home. And so, yeah, I was bouncing around between different family members' houses, and I was kind of like a troubled kid going through a lot. You know, both of my parents were involved with drugs, and I was like, 2, 3, 4, up until 9, trying to internalize that. Why isn't my mom here? Why isn't my dad here? So I was like acting out a lot, oftentimes not welcome very long at the places that I was at until my mom, who is, she was the director of this place called Little Rascals that's actually still exists here in South Florida. It's an after-school care program that was allowing fostered youth to come for free or very discounted rate. So I pretty much grew up there, and the director there, I always used to get in trouble and I'd get sent to her office by the teachers. And she's actually my mom today. She very much like, I love the movie Matilda because it's very much like that. Like, she was my favorite teacher. She'd prioritize me. Like, she showed some favoritism, which at the time went a long way for me, who felt like kind of abandoned by my mom, my birth mother. So whether it was like her giving me money for the snack machine or letting me sit up front of the school bus on like a field trip day or whatever, those little gestures meant so much to me and just let me, know that I was loved and that there was something redeeming about me. And eventually, when she saw that my birth mother wasn't gonna be able to stay sober, she started inquiring about adopting me. And at the time, the process was so screwed in Florida. This was like Clinton days, that you couldn't be a single parent and adopt. You had to be married. So then she married her boyfriend, then who's now my dad. Then you had to be married for a year. The law changed. You had to be married for a year, which I understand why they put these precautions in place, because as a foster parent, you do get stipends from the government. So there are, unfortunately, not so great people who are, giving people a home just to pay their rent. So, I did experience a few of those situations sometimes, but for the most part, I had a lot of love coming from family members and people like my mom, who is like, I think about it. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I'm grateful for my journey because I'm studying now as a mom, my daughter and her habits and like the things that I'm trying to discover. What's nature versus nurture? And I realized now that I know my birth father, who's a hustler and very different from my parents who raised me, they're very simple people. They have unlimited amounts of love to give, and like that's their superpower. But a lot of my character traits that make me who I am today definitely come from a man that I never knew growing up. And I met my birth father at 24, 25, and I saw immediately like, oh, I have his blood in me. That's why waiters know my order when I go places, because I build rapport, certain things that I saw in him. But one thing that I realized was like, even though I didn't learn the hustle from him, I had the drive to hustle to repay my mom for everything that she did for me. So I think it was all meant to be, because had I grown up with my father, I would have had that hustle because it's innate and it's in my blood, but I would have used it in the wrong areas. Whereas like, because of what I went through and my mom giving me the opportunity she gave me, I always wanted to make her proud. So I never went down the wrong path that I probably was already heading down, because I wanted to, you know, do something nice for this woman and show her that she bet on the right kid. Yeah.
Going back to that time and, you know, as you were saying that you kind of build this rebellious moment, right? Because we, as humans, we're intended to be in unity, and that void sometimes creates that. Can you go back to that moment and try to understand what was the feeling that was causing you? Was it frustration? Was it anger? Was it feeling like you lacked belonging somewhere?
Yeah, it just felt like there's no way I'm going to get emotional in the first minute of this interview. Wow. I just felt like, am I not good enough for my mom? You know? And I think that caused like anger and sadness and resentment and just being like, oh, okay, well, you know, if she's, you know, if I'm not good enough for her, then I'm not going to be good for anybody. Like, I'm just going to be bad. I'm going to embrace who I am, you know? So I would just like, just rebel and like little things. I wasn't, you know, I'd steal fruit from the bodega downstairs. And a lot of it was like circumstantial. So like my mom, one of the final straws that had her lose custody was like, she went somewhere with my stepdad and just never came back. Like, I don't know how long the real timeline was. To me, it felt like months. Maybe it was just weeks, whatever. But how the authorities found out that I was like a 6-year-old living by myself in a home with a baby who was my newborn sister that I was taking care of somehow, was because I got the lady at the bodega she knew, you know, my situation a little bit and who my parents were. So she used to kind of like let me get away with stealing the food. And then like, I think she grew concerned after a while and alerted somebody, and the authorities came to our apartment. And then like, you know, when I opened the door, they realized like, oh, there haven't been any adults here in a while. And that was kind of like, you know, so everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I don't know. I think, and I see it with my daughter too. People act out when all they want is love and attention. Mm-hmm. You know, like when she starts acting out, I'm like, oh, am I on my phone too much? Am I not paying attention to her? Am I not acknowledging her? And usually the answer is yes. That's why she's acting out, because she just wants mommy to pay attention.
As a kid, you're just receptive to every emotion because you don't have a filter, right? You're not an adult enough to be able to say, that's not for me, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're receiving all this information and trying to process what it means to us in a state of our lives where, you know, we don't have any judgment. So do you feel like as an adult now, there's times where you feel that same feeling you felt there where it's like, am I good enough?
No, becoming a mother has truly healed so many of those wounds. First of all, I have a whole new understanding and level of grace for my mother and my father, because I understand now, like, parents are human beings living their own individual journeys, trying to figure it out. Like when we grow up, we're thinking, you know, our parents do such a good job, if we're lucky, of presenting themselves as superheroes. You know, like my mother never had a high paying job. We barely made rent sometimes, you know what I mean? But every birthday and Christmas, you would think we were the richest family on the block, because my mom would pull miracles. Like, I don't even know how she made these things happen to give me everything I needed growing up. And so, you know, I always just thought like parents were superheroes and they should be perfect. But then when I became a parent and I was battling postpartum depression, prepartum, even before my daughter was born, and, you know, still trying to like wake up as an entrepreneur and be motivated to go to work and make money every day when I didn't even know if I wanted to be here. That was like eye-opening for me. And then to see my daughter as she gets older, it's made me realize like life is so precious and the human experience is so beautiful. And I am perfect the way that God made me. Because look at my daughter, who's perfect the way, like, I would never want her to speak low of herself or speak ill on herself or other people. And because I'm looking at her, I think the world of her. And so it's kind of like I'm starting to see myself through her eyes and, you know, see myself through my own eyes as a parent. And I'm a lot more gentle with myself than I ever was. And like, I've done a lot, you know, we spoke before the camera started rolling about how this year has been transformative for you, and you've kind of like accomplished all the things, and then you were like, I still don't feel like I I accomplished all the things. What's missing? You know, I've been on a similar journey. I started detoxing in August, not because I drink a lot. I only drink occasionally. Like I'll have a spicy marg if I go out, 3 max, whatever. But I just wanted to, I felt the same. I felt like, wow, I worked with my favorite artist of all time, helped him get his first #1 in however long. I've given people careers that wouldn't have otherwise had them. Like I didn't accomplish my dreams of hosting the Grammys yet, but I've done quite a lot of things. I bought my mom a house. Like that was a goal of mine since 8 years old. When she adopted me and gave me a home, I said, one day I'm going to buy you a house, you know? So like, these are things that I accomplished, and I'm like, wow, I still feel like something's missing. And for the first time since being pregnant, because that was the first time in my life where everything was black. I couldn't see what was next. I didn't know what my kid was going to look like, if they were going to be healthy, if I was going to be a good parent. It was like the scariest time of things being unknown for me as somebody who plans and works and manifests my reality, right? So here I am again, a second time, 2 years later, like, okay, now what? What's the universe trying to tell me? What's next for me? And I figured if I give something up for God, then, you know, he'll give me direction. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to give up alcohol. We'll start there. And then I'm also prescribed Adderall, and I like to smoke weed. So I cut all of those things. I just wanted clarity. I wanted the universe to show me, a person with many passions and skill sets and talents, what I should focus on in the next year of my journey. And slowly but surely, I've learned so much about myself. And I'm at just a really exciting time right now where I'm just like having fun again. I'm not putting so much pressure on myself to know the blueprint, you know, because I feel like sometimes we force ourselves to like know what's next and focus on the blueprint because we want to be successful, that like we might be missing the message God's trying to give us because we're too focused on our own version of what we
So
want.
there's a lot of things you said there that I want to touch on, because I think part of the journey that I've learned first is the understanding of the personality of life, right?
Okay.
And so I think we hear the word purpose a lot. We all try to figure out why we're here. That's like part of the human condition, is trying to feel like we're enough, right? Like we're fulfilled, like we have a reason for existing. And what I realized in the internal work I started to do, and also because of achieving success and feeling the void that I felt even prior to having all the success, and I've said this multiple times on this podcast, which is people look at our business or successful people as like, well, when I reach success and I'm able to accomplish all these things that I had for my family and all these dreams, then it's like happiness is going to come. Like this thing that I'm searching for so deeply is going to finally arrive at my doorstep. And then we suffer all the way through getting those things because our mental's playing games, because it's hard to be in business, because it's stressful, because all those things. And then we get to these things, we accomplish these moments, and we have maybe lapses of maybe a 24-hour lapse of like, oh, wow, I did this for, you know, I bought my mom a home or whatever. And then reality hits again, which is you're alone, right? Like you're sitting, you still have to deal with you. Mm-hmm. No matter how much we try to run away from you, you still got to deal with you. In that moment, I started to understand, okay, so if the idea is that the personality of life is that this is school, right? I'm here to learn. There's things that my soul specifically chose to learn. And why I say that is because when you realize how many things happen in our lives, even our ability or my opportunity to have you here today, 1,001 things had to happen. I remember seeing the beginning of your career, and at the time I was living in LA, never in a million years would I have thought, okay, yeah, you know, Julz is cool and we hang out, we're talking about this and we're about to have a conversation about our feelings. Like 1,001 things had to happen to get us here. That means the universe is in divine complete order, right? The only thing that is not is our mind. But then that also gives me another idea, which is your soul chose the specific life that you lived. And you said that when you started to talk about your experience growing up, because you said, if I would have grown up with my father, I would have done this. But the fact that I didn't, and I still have the blood, that's divinely designed for you to live that life. Mm-hmm. And then as I started to put some of these theories into practice in my life, I started to realize, like you said, our biggest issue with human, as part of our human condition, is we've been taught that if we don't control, if we're not driving the freaking car, we're not going to get anywhere. And so fear kicks in, stress kicks in, all these things kicks in because we generally are processing information.
It's scary to think we're the ones driving the car.
Yeah, we're processing
Much better when
information.
God's driving the car.
And we say that. The thing is, it's very easy to say, God, take the wheel. That's like a famous tagline, right? It's another thing to understand what that actually means in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you said another thing that I thought was really great about, detoxing yourself. And I believe that our main job is to learn how to be still. Because if you can learn to be still, you can listen. The figuring it out part is God's part, right? It's the universe part. And then you got to be courageous enough to act.
Preparation
right?
meets opportunity, yeah.
But in the process of that, what makes all this amazing lessons about life harder to apply to our life is that we're dealing with our inner child. Like you said something about not feeling like you belonged, right? I grew up with my mother raising me, my father very, in the picture, even though they were not together. But when my parents divorced, my father he got married and he had a wife, and the wife got pregnant, and I had a younger sister who actually works here now.
Oh, that's amazing.
But that was the first time that I felt maybe, am I not enough?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Then as I started my career and I was this young producer, I went to a studio with a friend of mine we were childhood friends, and her mother after the session said, "Hey, I know you're friends with Michelle and all, but like, you're not good. Like, I think you should try something else."
You're not good at what?
At producing, because her daughter was an artist. We sang in church together, and her daughter was an artist.
I can't believe a parent said that to you.
But it's interesting, and the reason I mentioned that is because it affected my whole entire life. No matter how many things I would accomplish, I'd always felt like, am I good enough? I realized that I would process information of a deal, for example, and it would go through this filter, and my filter will process it, and it's like, I would make decisions based on feeling scared that if I didn't do this for this opportunity, maybe the opportunity would go away and I just wouldn't be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have that self-value. And it's one of the things as an adult that I had to deal with in even how I related with women. Because I'd be the superhero boyfriend at the beginning, and the moment that things got like, this is going to take a lot of my time, and I'm not feeling comfortable here, I pull out, because this image of like me having to be good enough, which also led me to become a manager. Because I started as a producer, I started as a talent, but the fear of feeling like maybe I'm going to fail, I'd rather you fail, and then I just say I'm the manager, and it's like, hey, the artist didn't want to do that.
I can relate to that. Heavy.
And those processes, what I realize now is they created this filter, and our filters are packed with our trauma, our life teachings, and then our fears. And we operate largely on fear, even when we're confident, because our narrative says that. And we'll talk, let's say, when we're in a situation like this, and we're scared to be emotional because we're scared to be vulnerable.
It's funny you say this. So first of all, there's so many things you said that I'm like, okay, got a point for that, I'll start with this because it's the last thing you said. I'm so blessed and grateful that for whatever reason, fear was never existent for me, except for in one area. And I'm conquering that fear now. I was almost delusionally confident in myself. I never, I'm looking at deals, I'm like, oh, no, I might turn down this MTV gig because I know I'm going to be successful no matter what. And my mom, Johanna, who adopted me, always used to look at me and be like, you're going to be the first female president. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. So she instilled that like worldly confidence in me. And for some reason, the only thing that ever scared me was putting everything I had into becoming an artist myself, like singing in front of other people. Similar to you in your situation, because I used to be the girl who sang and did music and my whole life. And when I was in foster care, that was what kept me going. Like I'd arrange shows in the playground and I was singing Lauryn Hill and performing TLC and all these things. This was like part of the reason why my mom adopted me, because she saw my imagination and she saw my passion for music and performing and was like, oh, this kid's going places. I want to help her foster these things. And she did. And I did that all throughout middle school and high school. And then I tried out for American Idol when I was 18. And this fearless girl who was never afraid of anything made it many rounds to where I was finally in front of Paula and Simon and Randy, which on TV, it looks like that's the first round, but it's not. As you know, you go through like 10 rounds to get there. So I was like feeling pretty good, blah, blah. But it started to like, oh, wow, this dream you've had your whole life, you're very close to like realizing it. And then all of a sudden, when I went to go audition in front of the judges, I opened my mouth to sing Fergie's Big Girls Don't Cry. And like nothing came out. Like it was like the Little Mermaid lost her voice all of a sudden. After years of being the top performer at my school and all these things, like I went to sing and I took that as, and like people, it was like a whole thing, right? And so I took that as, one of the feedbacks was like, oh, you know, maybe you're just not ready. I was 18. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm not meant to be an artist. Maybe I'm meant to take everything I know about music and help other artists who don't have this fear get to where they're trying to go. And so I would spend the next decade of my life essentially doing that, whether it be through like building parties so that I had a platform to break records, doing a digital radio station, making playlists, you know, artist development, all the things. And here I am at 35 years old. I just celebrated my birthday. I finally realized like, okay, I sat still from August until December, told the universe to give me the signs, cleared my mind, stopped taking substances that would take my clarity away so I could be showing up every day as the best, most clear version of myself. And this thing of like, yeah, you never did that thing the little girl and you wanted to do, like, you know, kept bothering me. And I'm like, all right, I'm producing this event for Art Basel. I'm going to sing. Like, fuck it, I'm just going to sing. And I did that and my heart was so happy. And it wasn't perfect because I know good music. I've worked with the best artists in the world. You know, I know what it takes to be a great performer. I've called it, when Travis was performing for 50 people in an audience, I said, he's going to be doing stadiums, not arenas, stadiums. You know, like I know what it takes. And so I did it, but it was like just the first step. But me doing that and betting on myself and trying to face myself in the mirror and overcome that fear of singing in front of people at my big age opened up so many doors. From there, I got a call. This artist that happened to see the performance was like, I want you on my album. And then, you know, it would take a little bit more of knocking the dust off and getting through that fear. But like, I finally made it to a place where I'm not afraid anymore to step in to this space and get rid of imposter syndrome and be like, I don't care what the judges said 15 years ago. I don't care what these people say that I'm just a party promoter or an event producer or a manager or whatever. Like, I know what I am. I know what means the most to me. And I'm going to immerse myself in this. And I'm just happier than I've ever been right now. Like, I feel so grateful that I didn't let that fear stop me for the rest of my life. And I hope that I continue to face it. But it really made me think of like the things that we're most afraid of. God put that fear in our heart for a reason. That must be the thing. You know, we have a special part in like whatever it is. But, you know, I'm such a big advocate of like whatever it is that scares you the most, do it.
Yeah, lean in.
Lean in.
Leaning in is, you know, I always say we've been conditioned to run for the light at the end of the tunnel, but not to just love to learn to sit in the darkness.
And that's another thing, you know, that I thought of when you were talking is like, you know, sometimes you get in the car just to go for a joyride. Yeah. It's not about like where you're going. And that's the one thing that I learned, like looking back on when I was going through this period of what should I do next? I started thinking like, what makes me happy? I've been a manager, I've been a host, I've done this, I've done that. I could act, I can sing, I can do anything. And then I thought back on like, you know, some of my happiest times, even though in the moment I didn't think this, was like when I managed 070 Shake and her crew. We just had so much fun and we had nothing. It was like the rush of trying to get 20 passes for 20 kids from Jersey who nobody knew or cared about yet to go to this festival or sneak them on stage in between sets or whatever. Like working with scraps is so fun. So it's like, it's not about, like, I wish people would just understand without having to go through all the pain and loss that I had to get to this place where I have this understanding that like people say this all the time, but it truly is about the journey and the moments where we're so focused on, oh, I got to get, I got to get to a place where we're finally dropping her album. I got to get to a place where she's recognized by Rolling Stone, whatever. It's like, no, all the things we were doing while trying to get to that place, that was the magic. The development, the earning fans one by one, empty rooms to empty rooms, till the rooms were full. Like, that's the real joy of life, is like making something from nothing. It's just like things aren't as fun anymore once you get to a place. And this is where I've seen a lot of the richest people in the world, still not happy, because sometimes it's just more fun. It's more fulfilling to do something that seems so far out of reach. And when you finally get there, you're like, wow. So I think like once things get easy and you have the network, you could pick up the phone and call Anna Wintour or whoever, and make things happen in a second. There's something that's not as fulfilling about that. That's why I always love like artist development and really just building something from scratch.
Well, it's a concept that I think you don't actually need anything to be okay. Such an internal thing. It's like you always will buy a Rolex or a watch or have success or have a plaque and the humanity in you is going to say, well, that person has that, or I want more, because it's beautiful to dream. I think the dreaming component of it is, to me, the most fun of my life, is that I get to, in my mind, imagine the what if possibilities, right? It's like one of the models of this company. But what I've learned was taking away the idea that the creation of that has any impact on who and how I should feel. What my own journey has taught me is that I'm okay.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody wants to get to the place where they feel like I'm okay, definitely, and I will tell the whole world this until the day I die, try Vipassana. Do a Vipassana course. Yeah. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done, but it was the most transformative thing I could have done for myself. And that's the whole 10 days of sitting in silence.
Talk to me more about the process for the people that don't know.
So you go to dhamma.org. Some of the most successful people in the world you're aware of, like Jack, who owned Twitter and all these people, they go and they sit. People like him are extreme and they'll go for like 40, 50 days, right? The first course you do is 10 days. You go, you check in your phone. You can't have a book. You can't have a journal. You can't work out. The most you could do is a light walk. You can't jog. You can't do anything that takes you out of a meditative state. You only eat as soon as 6 o'clock in the morning, right when you wake up. You rise with the sun. You go to bed with the sun, and you're eating only vegetarian food and like not really even eating salt. Like as a first timer, you're allowed to put cream in your tea. Like other than that, you have one real meal, and you don't have any solids after 12 noon, and you're just meditating. You meditate as a group 3 times a day, and you meditate in your room on your own or in the common area, and then at like 6 or 7 p.m. at night, you all go and you listen to the discourse of, I don't want to get his name wrong, but he unfortunately passed away recently, but he's the one that started this. Now there's like 96 centers worldwide, but essentially it's the same practice that Buddha utilized to become enlightened. And this is coming from me, who's done mushrooms, I've done DMT, I've done ayahuasca. None of those things can take you as far as sitting with yourself can take you. In silence. Yeah. You can't even hum to yourself. It's very difficult. And a lot of people, there's something about like the 3rd and 6th day, like people don't make it past. Sometimes you'll break. Like, Chris Bocello, who's amazing. He's the owner of Anatomy Gyms and was like kind of the only mentor of sorts I've ever had. But we sent him on his birthday. And this is somebody who sat in solitary confinement and couldn't make it past day 6 of just being a free man and sitting and meditating by himself. But in his sit, he got the vision to start Anatomy Gyms. And so when I was sitting, I got a vision that I would be having conversations on a platform that would impact the world in a positive way. I internalized that as I need to do the Never Not Working podcast. But maybe it means I'm inspiring through lyrics and music. Like, who knows? I'm still trying to figure that out, right? But it was so difficult, but they teach you like pain isn't real. Yeah. It's something that we cause on ourselves. And like every time you get upset or sad or worry, you're creating a sankara, which is like a knot in your energy field. And it takes years to undo those knots and really intentional hard work. And so think about how many sankaras we all have that we have to like work through. But once you get to a place where you can finally watch the pain and the sadness and the loss and everything go by like cars in traffic, that's when you've really reached a place of like being present. Because when you worry, you're not in the present. When you're sad about something in the past. When you're present, you can't be, maybe excited, but even excitement is you thinking about the future. You're not being present. So it's truly stoicism, but with a more spiritual understanding and undertone. And obviously, like I need to go back and I need to do more work because I'm a human being and I forget and I still, when I talked about my mom, I got sad, and it's like, we cause these things on ourselves when we say we're mad and we say we're heated. When you get upset and you allow yourself to become out of character in that way, you actually feel your body getting warm. That's where that term comes from. Like you're changing the chemistry of your body in real time with thoughts that aren't even real. So yeah, it's a lot of learning and education to do. But once you truly start to grasp and understand, and you could do a crash course by doing ayahuasca, but I feel that there's like a certain sense of pride that comes with learning this lesson this way.
I think it's really interesting because, yes, I agree. I think that centers like that or even the 7 days of meditation that so many people are now doing are really, really helpful because they just help you get still, right? Like I feel like our brain is always making decisions sitting in a car listening to hard rock music. That's how it feels every day because the amount of information that we're processing, the phone, the stress, the people around us. But what I've really have learned to apply is just, I think 3 simple principles that have helped me stay together after doing ayahuasca or after doing anything. Honestly, the first is really understanding that everything is perspective, right? The biggest issue with how we get upset or how our body goes into contractions because our filter took some information and our body reacted on it based on that emotional part of our filter or fear or whether trauma. And so I tend to check myself, and every time that I feel my body, because I've learned to listen to my body, if I feel like tense, if I'm going, say, okay, is it reality or is it my filter? And that's the first thing to be able to start kind of, I read this book called The Uncharted Journey, and Don, who's the author, says, you kind of have to look at your life as the watcher. Like step from a second and be like, okay, is it reality or is it my filter? And he talks about something amazing there too, where he talks about the difference between right or wrong is more about love and fear, because you look at things when they're right to you because you look at them from a loving filter, and you look at the things that are wrong from a fearful filter because it is attacking what you're believing is. It's attacking the theory. You're processing, that person hurt me, instead of saying, well, that person's also hurting. We're all just hurt people. And so it's a really interesting theory, and it's a great book for those of you that want to read it. But that to me is the first one that I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. Second is any time that I am in contraction, I stop.
Now, what you define contraction?
Meaning like stress.
What do I do?
What am I doing? Or like this, or like I just got some news. It's like, okay, God take the wheel is literally saying, okay, I'm going to stop, which is what meditation is trying to teach you, is just to stop. Like meditation is not supposed to be just something you do in the morning. It's just like you can stop yourself to allow yourself to regulate and be able to process the information for reality or not. And in those moments for me is always that I'm okay.
And what's the number 3?
I'm okay.
Okay.
None of these things and none of what happens, whether I get a deal or not get a deal, or you feel, because that's our stress, right? Like when we are like in the midst of it, it's like, oh my God, the deal's going to break. That doesn't mean don't go be proactive. Don't go make the calls or try to make it happen. It's just,
you have to release your attachment to the outcome.
Yeah, it's just, I'm okay, because you don't control anything.
100%.
And that part of it to me has been the most relieving in getting myself to a place. And then I would say the fourth one is any time that I feel fear, anytime that I feel stress, and anytime somebody bothers me, and you said it in our conversation, is I lean in. The more difficult it feels, I lean in. I learned to dance in the fire instead of trying to run away from it. And the reason for that is because I'm a very practical type of spiritual person. I always say I grew up in church. I grew up with my mother being a pastor, and it was so much religion in my life that there was a period of my life where I said, bump that. I don't want none of this in my life. And all these things that you're saying better make sense to my daily life, or it's just a bunch of bullshit to me. And so I've taken, historically in my life, any teachings that I get, whether it's studying Judaism or studying, you know, Christianity or the Book of Muhammad or whatever it is that I've read, or any inspirational book, is always like, let me go put this to the test in my life right now. Like, can I...
You take what makes sense to you and apply it.
And it's just apply it right away. And sometimes, and I had this question for you as well, which is, what's the lesson life has been trying to teach you that you continue not wanting to learn?
Wow, that's a great question. Before I forget, I want to comment on what we just discussed. One thing that's helped me continue to apply the lessons that I learned in Vipassana is being a mom. Because how many times do we as parents ask our kids to do things that we're not even doing? Take a deep breath. Breathe with me, calm down when a kid's going through a tantrum. But it's like, are we doing that with ourselves when we're going through something? Like, I'll do it with my daughter all the time. And then I'll see myself getting stressed out, and I'll talk to myself like I talk to River. And so becoming a parent has just been such a beautiful thing of growth for me. And truly, like, that's the biggest mirror I've ever had, is 100%. My daughter and how I treat her, and how I've relearned how to treat myself, right? And deal with situations through being her mom. But what is the lesson that life is trying to teach me right now? As much as I think it's important to lean into the fear, I'm learning that it shouldn't be that hard, right? So, like, I've been working very hard and not very smart. And that's because I had a vision for myself of my life and a blueprint that I was like very focused on, you know, making come to reality. And all these things happened. I was trying to be the next Scooter Braun. And my artist left me as soon as she got on Ye's album. And I never made a penny after investing so much time and money and energy and years. And that was heartbreaking. And then I focused on another artist. And unfortunately, that artist overdosed, you know? And then I was working with Ye, and we saw how that ended for me, right? So I'm like, okay, let me pay attention. What is the universe trying to tell me? Maybe I'm not a manager. Yeah, I could do it. I could be very successful at it. I have the skill set, but is this what I'm meant to be doing on this earth? Like, let me pay attention to what the universe is showing me. And when I paused, like after my departure from Yeezy, I did not allow, because I love podcasts. I want to write a book. I want to act in movies. I want to do all the things, right? And I could very well do all of them. But how many of those things am I doing just to stay relevant? Because I'm afraid that if I go away and work on myself for a little bit, I might not get brand, you know, whatever it is, the fear is there, that's there of just sitting still, right? Or, you know,
I want to touch on that, right? I love how our brain just really rambles on our stories that we tell ourselves, right? So like, to your point, all these things at the end of the day is just stories we're telling ourselves, right? Like, fear is an illusion because it's just a story you're telling yourself, right? It's just like, if I don't do this. And I had that question that I want to really ask you, and we'll come back to the life lesson, because I think it's I'm noticing some patterns in our conversation that I'm loving, because you understand what we're talking about. But let's go back real quick to the desire to want to do all these things in your career, right? What was the moment that you decided that you were going to become YesJulz, and that was going to be kind of the persona? Or is it a persona? Is it an alter ego? Is it 100% you? Like, how do you define YesJulz in comparison to Juliana?
That's a great question. And I'll answer it by finishing my last thought, and then it's going to get to there. When I separated from Yeezy and I decided I needed to sit still to figure out what my next move was going to be, during that time between August and December, I finally asked myself that question. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to allow myself to take on any work. It was so hard. I realized that I didn't know who I was without work, which I realized when I became a mother, and then I forgot because I got back to work so quickly because I was like, oh, I'm nothing without work. I got to get to work. Then here I am again. I got to work at the highest level. And now I'm like, okay, who am I when I'm not working? And what kind of value can I bring to people if I'm not helping manage their projects or doing this or doing that, you know? And so to answer your question, it was 2019. Twitter had just became a thing. I was starting my account. Julz 305 was taken. Julz 02, which was my favorite number, was taken. So I thought to myself, like, what do I want to manifest? I've always been a big manifester. What do I want to manifest to myself? I'm like, I want to manifest that, like, I'm the girl that people come to when they want to get it done. I'm also want to manifest that everybody just says yes to me. So I want to be the girl that says yes, and I want to be the girl that everybody's saying yes to. And so I was like, what's a word that I want to be synonymous with my brand? And that's how the word yes came into play. Luckily, to whoever had Julz 305, because Julz 305 doesn't have quite the same ring to it. But I have lots of ideas for the Yes brand and goals for the Yes brand. But I'm in like the Juliana Marie era right now. And to me, YesJulz is the girl who picks up the phone. Oh, you want to perform at Super Bowl? Yay? Oh, Super Bowl's when? In 24 hours? No problem, I'll get it done. And makes it happen. Oh, you want this? Yeah, sure, no problem. No respect for my own boundaries, time, you know, well-being. I would always just want to make sure I'm saying yes and making it happen. And that was great to get me to where I was successful enough to break generational curses in my family, and then became my own downfall after a while, because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And I didn't learn how to differentiate until it was kind of like, not too late, because it's never too late, but until so much damage had been done to myself, to my own well-being, my own dreams, my own visions, that I realized, like, wow, I said yes to all these people, helping all these people. And at some point along the way, I lost the plot. Like, I was saying no to myself. I should have been saying yes to myself first and foremost. And then, you know, just like the Never Not Working brand, I trademarked Never Not Working at a time when women in Miami were kind of like laughed at and looked at as like, we just are party girls. Like, I was traveling the world. I would meet new friends. I would tell them I'm from Miami, and they'd be like, oh, I know what you're about. You know, like, oh, a girl that works at Live in Miami. Like, okay. So I was like, oh, no, we got to change this perception, right? This is like 2013. So I'm like, how do I manifest people taking me seriously and wanting to work with me? How do I manifest real work for myself, like, in different conversations? And so I just started saying Never Not Working on all my posts. Like, I just started putting it out there that I'm a girl that works. I'm not the girl you think that I am. And so Never Not Working helped get me to where I am today. But it also kept me from being where I could possibly be right now, right? Because the most important work that we can do is the work that we do on ourselves. And it took me crashing and burning multiple times to get to a place where I'm like, okay, now I got to do the real work. Yeah. So that's where I am now. I'm in the Juliana Marie Goddard mode. And like, you know, the YesJulz, to answer your question in a shorter way, YesJulz is like the energetic girl who's indestructible, who gets it done, who, you know, goes on stage without a fear, whatever. Juliana Marie is afraid to sing in front of people. Juliana Marie only listens to jazz and neo soul and writes poems and reads books and doesn't like to go out. Doesn't like to party, like loves people in intimate settings where we can really like converse and build or whatever, doesn't get a kick out of being at Rolling Loud. You know what I mean? Like, these are two totally different people. Yeah. And I'm both of them. I'm a Pisces. I'm two fish swimming in different directions, and a Gemini rising. So I'm a little crazy. But, you know, I think like duality is like the whole, part of life. Yeah, it's a part of life. And so I'm very much those, you know, two very different ends of the spectrum there.
Let's talk about the crashes and the burns, right? Because I think to me, these moments and these lessons that life loves to give us, and sometimes we run ourselves into the fire because we think we're, you know, we think we're the YesJulz or the Lex Borreros, and nothing's got to touch us. Like somebody said to me the other day about a big time executive. They said we were doing an interview, and they said, you know, that person forgot that it's not the man, it's the chair. It's the chair that gave that person the power, and person believed the hype so much that they went into it. But in your case, what do you think, one, was the lesson behind the crashes and burns that you've had? And two, what your part in it has been? Like what you feel, and I'm not talking about the details of the specific situations, but in the overall lesson that life was trying to show you.
Impulsiveness is what has gotten me into trouble. Just not knowing how to pause and filter before reacting or making a decision or starting something new, whatever. I've always been like, I'm very raw, real, authentic 100% of the time. And my impulsiveness is almost like a part of that, but learning how to slow down and think before I speak, before I act, has been like the overall lesson for me, I think. And discernment and boundaries.
Let's touch on those three things that you said that were the reasons for the mistake. Why? What leads you to those things? What led you to not have discernment? What was the fear behind not having the discernment at the moment and just going with the impulsiveness? What leads the impulsiveness? Like, where does that impulsiveness come from?
I'm trying to figure that out, my friend. I might need to do some plant medicine.
Can you, if you go back into your life, right? Before you were YesJulz.
Okay.
Is there a part in your life as a teenager or as a young girl where you felt the same emotion, that need to like have to do something or have to say something?
Yeah, I think I've been in survival mode my whole life.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever had a time where like, if I didn't move, nothing was happening, you know? So it's like, whether it's like keeping food on the table, having a home, whatever, like I always felt like I needed to be doing something all the time to just be okay. And like for a certain amount of time, that was very much my reality. But then I got to a place where it wasn't and still moved as if it was. Whereas like once you get to a certain level and you have more responsibility, more access, a larger platform, an audience, you know, you can't move like you were in the beginning. And I just never made that switch, unfortunately, for myself and the others around me. But
so what you say is rooted in the fear that if you didn't move, you would not be okay.
Yeah. Rooted in the fight or flight mode, you know, just like wake up, like, what do I got to do today to stay okay? It didn't matter how much money was in the bank account. Like I never felt like I was fully safe. The only time I did was when I was with my ex. I had a ring on my finger. I was starting a family. We were engaged to be married. And I'm like, okay, like I found my person and I'm safe now. Like I could breathe. But I didn't feel that fully enough to actually stop. Like I still felt like you know, maybe I was there like 90%. That's the most safe I've ever felt, but I still didn't feel fully safe. And that might be like a part of the downfall of that relationship, because like how demasculating is that to be a man who's made it, you know, and like you're with somebody and you're trying to make them feel safe and like they still don't fully feel safe, you know? So that relationship has been like a huge lesson for me as well. Like, you know, what's it going to take for me to finally feel like I can let a man drive? Yeah.
I think more than drive is what's it going to take for you just to completely accept that you're okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Except aside from a man. Yeah. Just like completely understand that, like,
you're
okay. You know?
Because it's what I was saying. It's like, it's interesting because we have a hard time accepting that we're afraid. You know?
Yeah.
We have a hard time that we're accepting that those feelings are there, and until we deal with them, we will be impulsive or we will be this. And
even in the beginning of our conversation, I said the only thing I've ever been afraid of was singing, but that's actually not true. My biggest fear is like not having a home.
Yeah.
More so than anything. Like coming to a place where like I wake up and I just don't have a home, you know? Yeah. And I think like I wasn't proud of who I was a year ago. And I was at the top of my game. This time last year, I got fired like next week last year. So yeah, this time last year, I was working with my favorite artist of all time. I just got told that I was going to take the job of agent and manager, which would mean I'm replacing my idols, people who worked with him at that time, right? But at what cost? I wasn't present with my family on Christmas. I was on the phone all Christmas Eve. I wasn't remembering friends' birthdays, so I was too stressed out, too embedded in work. Like I said on Twitter, I wasn't a good friend the past decade. Like the friends that I still have who are still standing by me, thank God for them, because I probably would have pieced out. I'd have been like, Julz just forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. But guess what? I forgot that I spent my own birthday at 26 years old in Costa Rica. At 30 years old, I looked at my friends as somebody who's been to 42 countries. I said, guys, you know where I really want to go next? I was like, we should go to Costa Rica. And they were like, Julz, you're kidding, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Costa Rica's fire, Pura Vida. They're like, you flew us there for your 26th birthday. You don't remember? I was like, not really. Like now that you're reminding me, I remember, but like, where have I been? That was probably working that whole trip. What kind of a friend? You know what I mean? So now I'm like probably in the worst spot I've been financially in a minute, but I'm so happy and so proud of who I am. I'm dependable. I'm reliable. I'm a good friend. I'm present. I'm not perfect. I still have a lot more work to do, but like I'm thriving as a mother. My kid is happy, like she feels safe. My parents are happy. I'm spending more time with them than I have in so long. How many people in this room could be like, yeah, I don't have to call my mom more. It used to be for so many years. I'm like, man, I got to talk to my grandparents more. I got to talk to my mom more. Like, no, I talk to my mom all day, every day. So like, I feel successful in a new way right now that I haven't ever felt.
Yeah.
I've never felt this level of pride in myself.
I love that. And,
yeah.
and I love because I feel like that's what little Juliana, whenever the fear kicks in, needs to remind herself of, right? Because that's, to your point, you got to the place that I got to a year ago, which is like, we thought that we need to suffer and work hard and do everything and have 1,000 things and work with our favorite artists and do everything and give ourselves our lives. And at 22 years, I freaking never lived home, never had a hobby, never had anything. All I did was work, get on my phone every single day. And then life teaches you, you actually don't need anything. You're okay. And that reminder of like what I was telling you is like, you could do all the ayahuasca you want. People could do MDMA, shrooms, they can go to any meditation. The whole purpose is for you to understand you're okay. Mm-hmm. There's genuinely nothing wrong with you.
The power's in the pivot.
And even more than the pivot, it's just in the pureness of understanding that the best version of yourself
already exists.
It's the one that doesn't need anything. It's the one that is okay. It's the one that not only deserves to feel secure, is already secured. Mm-hmm. And that's hard for people like yourself, like myself, who fought for every little penny that we've had. Nothing has come. Mm-hmm. Like nobody walked in and gave us a lottery ticket and say, "Ha, here you go." Like the fuck? No, no one did. So the only thing we knew was suffer, survival, suffer, survival, suffer, survival, mistakes,
it's almost uncomfortable being in a place where you're not suffering. You're like, wait, everything's going good right now. Something bad's going to happen. Yeah, you got to like get out of that.
And it's interesting. But at one point your body and life will start showing you these things, because every time that you every time you think you're closer to your dream, you get fired.
And think about how important it is to follow our joy, because we don't understand the ripple effects of everything that we do, right? So like, for instance, I made a joke about it, but you said you've nice watch, by the way. You've started pursuing your joy outside of what you call work, which now your joys are becoming work. Like having this discussion with something you thought would be interesting. Now you're probably going to start making a lot of money to do this next season, right? If you're not already, because you're such a great businessman. But you showing your passion for watches, now I'm finding myself, just by being your friend and seeing your content on your timeline, being more interested in watches. Who knows if there's somebody that watches no pun intended, this content, and then ends up being a watch dealer or finds out that that's their passion. And like now you doing what God put in your heart has now led to somebody building a whole career to take care of their family. You doing this podcast has now put the people in this room in a place where like they're producing something that you brought from thin air that wasn't a part of your natural blueprint, right? So that's why like it's so important. And I have to keep reminding myself like, okay, it's important to have discernment and not say yes to all the ideas and the things, but to like truly listen to your body and think about how your body feels when you do certain things, when you think about certain things, and like follow that, because it's all a part of our destiny.
We tend to think that the more we do is how we help those around us. And it's actually the more time that we work on our internal self, the more that those around us benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand that, by the way. This is like a newly revealed thing to me, because I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and we were sharing kind of this emotional conversation. I had just come out of therapy, and we're like talking, and all of a sudden the client starts he starts crying, and we're having this emotional conversation. He goes, "Thank you." And I said, "For what?" He said, "Because you working on you means I don't have to suffer." And I said,
wow.
I was like, what do you mean?
Very wise man.
He said, well, your work allows me to learn from you, allows you to be a proper leader, allows you to guide me properly because of your self-work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not let's make money or made millions of dollars. No. It's the self-worth. I'm a better leader when I'm in more central piece of myself. I'm a better man in a relationship, a better friend, a better dad when I'm more centered in peace. And so that really made me realize the most important thing, as selfish as it sounds, still continues to be you.
Yeah.
Your lack and inability our lack as humans to put ourselves and our inner work as the top priority in our lives not only causes us all the dismantle of the things that we see, but it's what really causes the people around us not to find the next level of the blessing, because our example is everything they get. We're friends, we're mirrors. So what does Juliana dream of? Like, if you close your eyes right now and you could see the perfect version of your life, what would that look like? After everything, after the 42 countries and the artists.
My mom with no stress. Retired, chilling, seeing the world. A slow, easy life. People that love me and that I love, who are healthy and present in my life. You know, like I was thinking about it today. I'm like, how blessed is it that I live a life where like I could wake up on a Friday and be like, it's sunny today, I'm going to the beach. It's the little things that we 100%. Take for granted, right? But like when I was 23, I lived on the beach at the Rooney Palace. Never frequented the beach because I was too busy working to make enough money to one day have a house on the beach. You already had the house on the beach. You were living there when you were a promoter, and you just didn't enjoy it because you slept all day because you were working all night all the time, right? So, I mean, yeah, if we're gonna like get specific, like I'd love to produce a movie that helps raise awareness and inspires people to adopt. I'd love to make songs that make people want to be nicer to each other. And, you know, like I look at people like Bob Marley and Lauryn Hill and the lyrics that they, you know, put out in the world through their music and how that's affected so many people, right? And it would be great to like have that kind of an impact. But at the end of the day, it's like, is that our ego? Like, you know, I don't know. I'm still trying to. Why are you doubting it? Huh?
Why do you doubt it?
I don't doubt. I mean, I know it's something that I want, but like, who was it that said Mike Tyson when he was interviewed by Jazzy, God bless her, in this moment, and she was like, oh, you know, something about like icon or whatever. He's like, or you know, and he was like, I'm going to die. I don't care. I don't care about legacy. What's legacy? That's ego, you know? And like, that was a very harsh point to make with a 11-year-old or however old she is, but he's not wrong, you know? So it's like the me that would have answered this question a year ago would have said, you know, yeah, I want to be married. I want to have more kids. I'd like to win a Grammy somehow, whether that's me or an artist I'm working with. Like, I'd like to produce a film, write a book. But now I'm starting to understand all those things will be great, but I will be fulfilled without them either way. Just in like looking at my daughter and knowing she's happy and healthy and doing the things that bring her joy. And that I'm leading by example and also doing things that bring me joy, even if it's just floating in the ocean, like giving myself a day to do that. Yeah.
I find it really interesting because I've asked this question multiple times on the show, and you would think we're all really successful people, right? We're all very driven people.
Mm-hmm.
And the response has been almost identical across all the episodes because
Yeah. You learn quick.
Well, more than anything else, and I don't mean by the fact that none of those things will make us happy, because I think, you know, we've understood that as we got here, but how afraid we are to just even face the fact that, yeah, it'd be nice to have a Grammy. Let's have a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. But we almost doubt it in ourselves and we blame it on ego because the dream is also scary. Because the disappointment of not getting the dream makes us scared. And I've seen it with every single guest that I've asked the question to. For a moment, I've dreamt about, maybe not, you know, because maybe if I get this, and maybe, and yeah. I realize in myself sometimes I do that, and I'm like, man, it would be freaking sick if I win an Oscar producing a documentary, right? And then I'm like, but you know, I mean, I don't need the Oscar. I'm gonna be good anyway. And it's almost like the coping mechanism to the fear that it might not happen.
Yes, it could be. However, that's not what's going to fulfill me. Like,
yeah.
And I'm finally realizing that. I mean, you know, we've worked with some of the most successful people in the world who have accomplished everything and still weren't happy. So it's like, what can we learn from the people we've had the opportunity and honor to, you know, observe in real life? It's like, I've learned that, like, there's a man that has everything at his fingertips and still self-destructs because genuine love isn't present, or support, or feeling of safety, right? So it's like those things that are priceless, those are like the most important things, you know. And I know I have that. I have the most loving family, incredible support and friends, even just from audience members through all the times I've been canceled, et cetera. Like, having that support, you know, these things mean so much more than like accomplishing, you know, a goal could mean. I was tired last year and I gave myself a rest, and now I'm like so excited for life. Just the synchronous, once you lean into the fear and you start knocking the dust off your childhood dreams and start really chasing them, the way that God and the universe supports you and aligns and the synchronicities start becoming present, it's like the best drug. Like, now I'm like high off of being present and noticing the synchronicities and following them, right? I'm like, oh, okay, wow. Like, it's almost like I used to manifest things in a few days. Now it's like, I'll say it and it happens in the same hour. I'm like, this is crazy. I just can't wait to see what's in store, you know? Like, oh, thank you, God, for getting me to this place.
I love that. So, you know, I end every episode with asking the same thing.
Okay.
You know, part of understanding the battle within yourself.
Wait.
Okay. You're gonna
if
ask me
you
something?
close your eyes.
Okay.
What is your dream? Like, what does your life look like? Your perfect life?
You know, I meditate every morning with that same thought, and I see myself always pulling into a house. It's actually been the same vision since I started heavy getting into meditation in COVID. And it's me pulling into a house. I walk in the house. I walk to the back of the house. It's ocean front, and it's a pool, and it's my wife and 2 kids. And I replayed that same piece over and over and over. And it's crazy because I was watching Bruce Almighty, and there's the scene with Morgan where he says, you ask God for patience and he gives you an opportunity to be patient. And I, for many years, asked God for a family. And God gave me an opportunity to be in a family. But in the process, I had to go through the 2 most emotional, hard years of my life, because my understanding and the fears and the trauma I had of being in a relationship, because I grew up in a broken home, because I had seen what that did, had all these misconceptions about how to view a woman in my life. And I had to dig in. I had to sit in the fire and understand, oh my God, out of all the women, God decided to give this woman my child. And how do then I turn my mind and say, my lesson in life is in that person, and I ask God for a family. I'm going to lean into this, and I'm going to go into it, even if it's not forever, with the idea that my lesson's in. And whatever the forever is, it's every day. My tomorrow is not promised. So if today I can make forever feel forever, today I'm going to make that. And that leaning into that part, which is something I had never done in any other relationship in my life. Because, again, the moment that things started to feel any kind of commitment based, and I would pull away. I would create situations where I felt like I needed to exclude myself because I wasn't okay with myself. And I was looking for this okay from someone who is as imperfect as I am, who is as hurting as I am, who's trying to heal their own pieces. And I did that no matter the circumstances of the woman, right? It could have been anyone, could have been a super professional. It could have been someone who was a model. It could have been someone who's an artist. It didn't matter the style of women. I thought at first it was I'm just dating the wrong women. No. I wasn't in the right place. I wasn't feeling okay. I was searching for something. And whenever anything felt uncomfortable, my natural instinct was I'm going to judge. And then my second natural instinct was to go, hey, Julz, you see that person? Man, she's just to get to feel like what I was
an echo
judging
chamber that what you were feeling was right.
Actually correct.
Yeah.
And the moment that shifted, the moment that I went through so many things, and I was forced into having to deal with the idea of commitment. Because now there was a child. And that was one part of my life where I was not willing to break being a great father. And in leaning in, it transformed my life. It transformed my ideal about what love or relationship or family. And even the idea of forever, it was all gone away with the thought of just every single day waking up and understanding that I asked God for a family. But in it came my lesson, because I had to face little Lex. I had to face the fear. And in my process of working with myself across every single thing, I asked God that I wanted to have a company, and I wanted to be this successful entrepreneur. And I went from having to learn how to be an entrepreneur to be a CEO. And that meant being okay with firing people. That meant being okay to say, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. I don't have the answer to your question.
It's tough.
You know what I mean? I genuinely have to, I want to do all these things. I want to travel the world. I want to build a successful artist. Okay, here's an artist. But here's the challenge with the artist. Do you really want this? Or are you willing to face yourself getting on a stage and talking to your friend about your emotions? That's been the work I've been doing daily. That is nowhere near right, nowhere near perfect, but that is making me understand that that dream I visualized for the past 4 years means that I have to stretch my muscle, turn that muscle, and face myself every single day. And
Well, thank God you learned this lesson while you still had the opportunity to lean in.
which is the only complete reason for why we're doing this. Because I grew up in church. I grew up being a youth pastor, and I said, I'll never do that again. It just felt like chains to me. It felt like a box. It felt like I have all this creativity and all these people, they're just so stuck in this thing that they're learning. Like I really was, as so many people that grew up in church especially back then in comparison to today, it's like night and day. And then I realized that the best use of my life is to let it be a complete example for people. And that meant, this is super scary to me. I'll be 100% honest. This right here.
Doesn't seem like it's scary.
No. This right here to me is like.
This is scary for him, guys.
Like every day having to do this, every day like having to come in, like I psych myself out. I don't write questions or read the information on the guests until like hours before the thing, because it psychs me out. Like the first one, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Cancel. I'm sick. I feel, and it's pushing that.
Beach, 2 kids, wife.
That's it.
I also asked for a family and like a love and ran from it when it came to me. Like, oh, what's this mean? I can't be YesJulz anymore. Like, oh, is my career going to be affected? Like, do I have to be a housewife now? I don't want to be a housewife. I have so many skills the world needs.
So that's the perfect segue to
the last question.
We tell ourselves a lot of stories. And the first thing that my spiritual leader told me when I got into my first session of this work said, watch the stories you tell yourself. And so, because words are so powerful, because we can tell someone, I love you, and hold their hands and they feel, because we can tell someone disrespectful and they feel it. All those things we tell ourselves, and we're with ourselves more than we are with anybody else. So the exercise we do to end this podcast is, what is one word or a sentence you can tell yourself right now that will change your outlook of this rest of the week, of this day? What do you have to
something I'll
hear?
borrow from you that you drilled into me today, which is, you're okay. I think that's like the one thing that I need to hear the most. I don't even think I've ever said that to myself. I'm okay.
It's a beautiful word. The first time I told it to myself, I cried like a little baby.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been a big theme for me recently, because like I have this skill set and these opportunities to make money that I've just been doing on autopilot for so long. And I'm completely saying no to all those things so that I could focus on creating my own art for the first time as an adult. And there's no guaranteed money in that. Taking a big gamble at 30, it's not like I like just got out of college. I'm a mom now, taking this big gamble, stressing me out. I'm having to take a few steps backwards to take many steps forward. Like I might move into the house I bought my mom so that I could have the financial freedom to create without having to take on work to pay the bills. Why? Because my biggest goal in life is to have no regrets. Like the worst thing you could have is, I wish I would have. And like creativity that's not expressed becomes, it becomes anger, it becomes resentment, all of these things. And, I want to be the best example for my daughter. And I can't be that if I don't follow my heart. And so I've been very like, are you sure? Like, what's it going to be like living in Tampa? You know, like, are you going to be able to make money while you're there? This is the whole point, is to go so I don't have to make money. You're already trying to, like, you know.
Yeah, the stories.
Right. So all the stories the one thing I need to hear right now, today, in this moment, as I'm packing my house to go move and be in a city that, you know, leave the city that's made me, essentially, is like, I'm going to be okay. So thank you for asking that question.
You're okay. For me, is be present. You know, it's
that's my Wi-Fi network.
Oh yeah.
I make everything. Yeah, it's called Be
really
Present,
cool. That's
and then
really
the
cool.
password is gratitude.
Yeah, I love
If you're
that.
my neighbor, don't start using my Wi-Fi. But yeah,
we might need to cut that out. Someone's definitely hacking.
it's okay. I'm moving.
Yeah.
Keep it in there.
Well, Julz, you're okay, and I will be present. I loved every second of this conversation. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your incredible energy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing your experience and being so honest and going down this journey that I know
need
it's a
I need you to
rollercoaster.
share your spiritual leaders info with me.
Yeah.
Maybe your therapist too.
I definitely will do all that. Thank you so much for being a part of
Thank
You
you.
Versus You.
Awesome. Yay. This was so fun. Thank you guys. That was exciting.
Thank you guys for tuning in to You Versus You. Please subscribe, like, and share as we build this community and we help each other to live the life of our dreams.